So bossy.
We're live.
We're
Hi,
live.
how are you?
Oh
How are you
God.
guys? Welcome
Hello.
to the Reset for Success. And this is our monthly chat with you about the success principles. Today we have Jody, Cheryl, and Gabby. How are you, ladies?
We're
We are
great.
doing great.
And I am Whitney, and our talk today is going to be about being clear about why you're here. We're going to be talking about purpose, and each of the ladies here is going to share about what they have found to be their purpose. We'll talk about how we found that, why it's important for you to have that, and available to answer any questions that you have. If you have questions, put them in the comments here in the group, and we are happy to address them as they come up. So why don't we just take a moment and everybody introduce yourselves. Jody.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Jody Santangelo Ash, and I'm all about personal development. I love to learn and I love to teach what I learn. And what I teach is, like my fellow mastermind friends here, I teach success principles and success strategies, and I teach mindset and empowerment strategies. And I do that through my one-on-one coaching, my group programs, and my online programs. So that's me.
Cool. Hey.
Awesome. Up next, Cheryl.
Hi. So my name is Cheryl Mays, and my company is Rise and Shine Consulting and Coaching Firm. And my area of focus is using Lean Six Sigma, which is a process improvement methodology, and using those principles to actually be the umbrella for my leadership development, for employee engagement, as well as business processes. So much like the other coaches, I am also a Jack Canfield practitioner, a trainer, and everything that I do is just implementing that into everything else. I use it for my own personal benefits. It's helped me in my career and my business, and I share that with others. And the short of it is, I like to empower people to do the impossible because it's all possible. So
Yeah.
I'm
Love
looking
it.
forward to having this conversation.
Love
Yay.
it. Gabby.
Hey, I am Gabi Abdelgadir. They call me the Declutter Queen, and I am also, like Jody, a personal development junkie. I have been studying personal development for over 20 years right now, and I love to teach that. And I am also a Jack Canfield Success Principles trainer. I also love to teach people how to space clear their office, their home, to attract, to change the energy, to get rid of the blockages they're having in whatever it is they're doing, and how to attract the abundance in every area of their life. There
Love
you
it.
go.
Love it. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. I'm Whitney Wiley, and I'm with Shifting into Action. I am an organizational leadership and employee development strategist, and I love to help people figure out what it is they want to do with their lives, with their careers, and to develop leaders. I have a method called Simple Leadership, and it's the name of the book that I'm going to have coming up soon. So we're going to be talking success today. And the particular principle we are addressing today is about purpose. And it is, if you are following along in the book, the Jack Canfield book, The Success Principles, it's principle number 2. And it is be clear why you are here. So why don't we throw out this first question for everyone, and then as we go along in the conversation, if you guys have questions for the rest of us, throw them out there and let's just have a conversation. And I will also keep an eye on the comments to bring those in. So let's start with the first question, which is, do you know what your purpose is? Do each of you know your purpose? And maybe you could share the story of how you figured that out. Whoever wants to go.
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
It's interesting how this principle follows the first principle. So the first principle was about being 100% responsible for your results and literally taking that responsibility, not blaming, not complaining, but actually taking that on. And then to follow that with what is your purpose is designed in a way because it makes perfect sense, right? After you've decided, I'm going to take responsibility for my life. And in that, I need to decide, what is my purpose? Why am I here? And it's like, this is that existential question that everyone in the world wants to know, right? Why am I here? And until you come to literally sit down and look at, your skills, your talents, your passions, those things that you love doing, then you have the ability to define what is your purpose. So for me, it was a journey of, it's interesting because my mother reminded me the other day, I was talking to her and she said, well, remember you wanted to be a lawyer. And I said, yeah, that didn't happen. That was when I was 18. And we just had this conversation. I said, yeah, that was when I was 18. And it was because there was something that attracted me to that. And I think it was just, I don't know if it was the debating that attracted me to that, or if it was just, connecting with people and helping them. So that's it's two different ideologies as to the role of being a lawyer. And so I thought about that and I looked at what I'm doing now and I said, well, you know what? It's interesting because that's still my passion in a different career. So I still have the ability to be passionate about helping people, about, helping them help themselves. And having the ability to do that on an everyday basis literally allowed me to go, you know what? I think I am on purpose, because as I look through my roles in my careers, I've worked for nonprofit organizations. So again, right, I'm helping people. And then I went into training, again, helping people. And now with my own business, helping people.
See a theme there? Yeah. Right? So look for the theme.
Exactly.
Exactly, right? And so, if you look at all these assessments that people give that kind of tells you, like, where do you fall along the lines of your career plan? And we used to do these assessments at the college that I worked at. And it was, either you enjoyed helping people or you enjoyed, the technical side, or you enjoyed, all of these other pieces that kind of steered you into a direction for your potential career. Yeah. And for me, that would be that common link to your point, Jody, right? The theme is being able to help people. And right before this, I looked and said, okay, in the principle, right, we write out what our purpose is. And there's a nice exercise for you to be able to do that. And I looked at it and I thought about it and I said, you know what? I literally wrote that as my vision statement for my business. So it's on my website. And as I tried to create another one, I was like, well, that doesn't make sense to create one when this is truly what I put together. And so my purpose is to shift the foundation of thought, expand the possibilities, and wake up the human potential for individuals to fulfill their aspirations. That's my purpose. That's what I do every day. And that became my vision statement. And it's interesting when you look back on the things that you've done and you try to create something new when it is what it is and it's already been created. So that is my purpose.
Excellent. And don't worry of not becoming a lawyer, because we have one lawyer in the team here.
I know, exactly. I know. You don't have to be with.
How many lawyers does it take?
I know. We have one. That's more than enough. Yeah.
Stop.
I know. So yeah, can I go next?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. So what I was on the job market most of my life, and while I love what I do at my job, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I'm still working. The money is way too good for me to get rid of it right now. But my passion was always to help people who are lost, who don't know where to start, where to go, what to do. A lot of people that I have been seeing is they are on the job market, yet they hate it. When it is Sunday evening, it is like, oh my God, I gotta go to that stupid job tomorrow morning. So the depression, the anxiety starts from Sunday evening. And but that is not life. So that's how I have been working, especially females. I don't know why, mostly they're females, and have been talking to them. And then we would sit down and what do you like to do? But I can't make money. Like someone told me, I would like to be a pianist, but how are you? That's a hobby. How are you going to make money, make a living being like learning how to play the piano? Let's talk about something else. So there is something called the passion test that we go through. I think for those of you who are listening, you can contact any one of us here. They can help you go through the passion test. So you just list down the things that you love to do. And if you have to do them every day, it won't feel like work. It won't feel like a job. That is what finding your why is. And you need to really think, you don't need to ask anybody. This is you. So you have to make the decision, not your partner, not your spouse, not your children. It has to come from within. So that is that. For me, teaching space clearing in feng shui came from an experience because I was having nightmares after my husband passed away this particular night. I think I spoke about this before. The one day when he was just, I think it was 3 weeks before he passed away, he begged me to go home for one night from the hospital. So I begged his doctor. They asked me to take him a bunch of medicine. So I took him, I put him in bed when we got home. And then I went in to make soup because with the chemotherapy, it was difficult for him to eat anything. So I went to make soup. 10 minutes, I go back, blood was flowing from his mouth down to the pillow, down to the mattress, down to the carpet. And I couldn't see his eyes were like all turned up. I screamed, I called my brother-in-law. Anyway, so he ended up passing away 3 weeks later. Ever since he passed away, this particular day would wake me up in the middle of the night. The memory of it, like I would wake up sweaty and I can't breathe. So I would get up and run to the fridge, like have a glass of ice cold water. And then I would sit in the living room crying, like, where am this going? So one of my friends was out of town at the time. She said, I think you need to call a feng shui master. I told her, oh, how is she going to help me? She goes to me, trust me. So I did find one. I invited her. When she came to my home, the first thing she saw was the pictures hanging on the wall, which was what the message that was being given to the universe, which is a black woman holding a beautiful black boy. Then she asked me, are you married? I told her I'm a widow. She goes to me, how many children do you have? I said, one. A boy or a girl? I said, a boy. She goes to me, this is what you were telling the universe all the time. So what we carry in our space is a message to the universe. So that's one thing I learned. So anyway, we went room by room. She made me get that photo out. A few things she made me get rid of completely. We went room by room, living room, kitchen, everything. She gave me 1.5 dozen of homework to do, and then what to move around and what to purchase and where to place them. I did that. She said she would come in 2 weeks. She came. The last thing that I had to purchase was very difficult to find, but luckily, just like I think it was 2 days before her arrival, I found it and I placed it where she wanted me to. And that was the first night. I slept through the night with no nightmare. I was sold. So I decided to go look for the teacher that I was thinking about like 3 years earlier, that, oh, I have to do this course one day. I searched her, and then I took the basic, then I took the advanced feng shui training. And then I think it is when the universe realigns things for you. After I finished this, Denise Lee's clutter clearing coaching just popped up in my email. Don't ask me how, from Hay House Radio. I am a huge follower of Hay House Radio. So it just popped up. I said, okay, look at the alignment. And so I signed up for that, and it's not clutter clearing. People think it's about getting rid of old stuff and boxes. It is a lot deeper than that, the psychology behind it. the furniture you use, where you place your furniture, and what to do, and how to create an altar, where you should be sitting at your desk, where you should be facing when you sleep, everything, what you should keep in your kitchen counter, what you should get rid of, your dresser, name it, everything else. So I learned that, I got certified, and that's what I teach right now, and my clients love it. So I think this is one of my passions.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, Gabby, the class that I took from you, I found it
Yeah.
fascinating,
Thank you.
and I had to make some adjustments. I wasn't too happy with it, but I think it really works.
I know.
Sometimes those things that are the most difficult for us, right, are the
I-
very things that we
Yep.
need, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Do
fascinating
exactly.
class.
Oh yeah, Jody. I have like people calling me after the webinar or the workshop that maybe they don't want to talk in front of everybody. But Gab, but I don't like it like this. Then what do you want? Do you want to attract good energy, or do you want to block it? Like, oh, okay. And then they say, oh, I feel a lot lighter now. I feel like I'm more productive now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
And,
you.
and there's that one about making sure the bathroom door is closed. And I'm
Yeah.
like, every time my husband, I'm like, shut that door
I know.
quick.
And guys don't do that. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Yeah. Thank
so
you. Yeah. Your
yeah.
turn.
Yeah, fascinating information. So I think that there's a reason that this is success principle number 2, because being clear why you're here, I think, is really key to living a meaningful, fulfilled, and successful life for yourself. And when you're not clear about your purpose, it's easy to get sidetracked, right?
Yes.
And not really sure the direction in life. And of course, I lived that for a very long time. And when you are clear, then things seem to just line up for you. So you start attracting the ideal resources and people to help bring you what you need to achieve the things that you want. So for me, it also came from experience, and well, first of all, throughout my career has always been a trainer of some sort. Always a trainer. And like many people, I went through a really rough time in my life. And unfortunately, I stayed stuck in that place for far too long. And so that's one thing I stand against today, is staying stuck, because the 4 of us know that it's totally possible to move forward. So I was in that stuck place. And after a long time in my being stuck, I finally realized, this really wasn't working for me, the blaming, complaining, and all of that stuff. And that's when I took a deep dive into personal development and learned about the success principles, learned about law of attraction, and like you ladies, applied it to my life. And I was able to turn my life around 100%. And so when I saw that I was from that dark place and I was able to do my work and use the tools deliberately to create a life that I love, that's when I said, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do with my life. I want to teach that. And from that moment, I decided to make a career change. I left corporate America, and here I am today. So my purpose is to inspire and empower others with tools and practical strategies to create a life that they love, both personal and their professional life as well. So for me, it came as a result of just experience in life. So watch for those clues in your life.
Yes.
You know what? All 3 of you had something that I think is really important to pay attention to. And I'm going to summarize those 3 things. I'm going to share my purpose, and then I'm going to summarize these 3 things, because I think it's important for those of you who are watching to hear what they said as pathways to getting to your purpose, right? And making sure that you are clear why you're here. So for me, purpose is bigger than what I do as a vocation. And this is something that has been a long time coming for me. And in all honesty, it didn't actually gel until about 6 weeks ago. And I was out walking, listening to something in my headphones, and there was a light bulb moment. But it was something that I've known all along. I just hadn't put it in these concise words. So my purpose is to prove that God is, to prove that God exists. And the way I do that is how I live my life, right? So how I live my life, how I do my work. Those are component parts of what I feel is my actual purpose and the reason that I'm on this planet. And one of the things that I have shared, you guys may know this, it may be somewhere in the Canfield training. It's been talked about in other areas, and that is that we are, each of us, to be in this point in time, the exact person that we are, with the parents that we have, the makeup, our personalities, our gifts, our tools, talents, all of that is a 1 in 400 trillion probability of being exactly as we are right now, right? And when you think about how unique that is, that means the way I fulfill my purpose is different than everyone else. I happen to think we all have the same purpose. I don't push that on other people, right? How we express that purpose is different because it is a function of all these things that make us different. So, how I prove that God exists is through loving people, serving people, and giving to people. And as I do that, it's different than the way Jody serves. It's different than the way Cheryl serves, and it's different than the way Gabby serves, or the way you guys love people, or how you give of yourself, the talents that you're sharing and giving. And so when I think about it that way, it doesn't really matter what I do for a living, right? It doesn't matter what I do for a living because I have the opportunity to do that regardless of what I do, which is what I thought was really cool about what Cheryl said, is that, you know, she's someone who helps people to do what they want to do, right? She's always serving. She's always helping people. That is part of who she is. Jody, the same with you, and Gabby. I know you guys, so I know this is part of
That's
who
why
you
we
are,
attract
right?
each other.
Exactly. And we're all about service and giving, and loving people. And so it's the recurring themes in the jobs that you've had throughout your life. If you've always been a trainer or a teacher, right, that you're always helping people to learn and grow. We're helping people to be better, to figure out what it is that their gifts and talents are so that they can use them and be better. And then Jody, Gabby, you talked about the coincidences that, right, these things that pop up. So recurring things, coincidences, and then one of my favorite things is that success leaves clues.
Close.
And Jody, you talked about that, right? And so if we will pay attention to the patterns in our lives and the people that we attract into our lives and the things that work for us, as well as the things that don't, so that we can know what not to be pursuing, right? Then we can start to use that to help us figure out our purpose, or to figure out how to fulfill our purpose if you feel your purpose is something else. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
that's
know, I
Absolutely. Well said.
want to make a comment to that, Whitney, because oftentimes you find people that continuously ask this question: "What is my purpose? What is
yeah,
my
what
purpose?"
am I here to do.
And
Mhm.
right, and yet they're still doing things, and they're
yeah,
feeling unfulfilled. And I say this to those of you that are listening: if you're continuously seeking for your purpose, and yet you're operating in a matter, what's happening is you're conflicting your true purpose with your choice, because we have a choice in everything that we do. And so if you're to what Gabby says, you're waking up in the morning and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to go here, then honestly think about, what is your assignment, right? What is your God-given assignment? And so those clues that you get are those things that when you think about them, you either smile, you feel your heart is, is fluttering, or you feel a warmthness because you feel as though you're serving, and it doesn't become something that you're doing. It's just be.
Yeah.
It's the difference between doing and being.
And if you look at it like that, is like what you just said, Cheryl, is sort of like your joy is your GPS system, right? And if you are living in joy, and I'm not talking about, I don't think Cheryl is talking about sort of a fleeting, what makes me happy in this moment, but what brings me joy over a sustained joy over a lifetime, right? Because there are going to be things that will happen. Your life will have ups and downs, dark moments. Gabby, you've had them. Cheryl, I know you've had them. And Jody just went through something in her family, right? So, and all of us, we have dark moments, but you can still have joy in the midst of those dark moments and gratitude in the midst of those dark moments. And what are the things that how are you being that allows you to do that?
And then the thing is that when you wake up and you immediately are complaining, you're blocking whatever was supposed to be on its way to you. Like Dr. Wayne Dyer, like he said, he wakes up in the morning, the first thing he says is thank you, thank you, thank you. So he teaches that. So gratitude is that. And then take time, stay away from people who are not helping you out or not giving you the right advice or in any way. Actually, if you want to change your life and you want to find your purpose, I think the best thing to do is either you hire a mentor, a coach, or get away for like a week. I was just talking about that with them earlier before we came on live. Get away for a week or two, all by yourself. Find your inner peace, and then it will come to you. Just meditate. And if you are into prayer, pray, but meditate, and then it will come to you. But don't keep on asking your spouse who doesn't believe in personal development, or your friends who may not really want to see you succeed. I have seen that a lot in my lifetime, the jealousy, oh, she's going to amount to not, oh, she's just wasting her time. No. So just do it. And if you need help, hire a coach, a mentor that could help you find your purpose. You're not alone. There are a lot of good people out there. You've got 4 of them right here. And do it. By complaining, we're only attracting things to complain about. Yeah. The law of attraction. Go ahead, Jody.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was thinking, for me, living on purpose means to do the things that you love, do things that you're good at, and you are achieving and accomplishing things that are important to you. And, when you really get clear about your purpose, then you kind of use that as your personal North Star, right? Like your compass as you're going through life to make those choices that you just talked about, and being able to make decisions because you know what's in alignment with you. All right, great, that's a match. And how can you tell? You can tell by the way you feel. And that inner GPS. If it's not a match, well, I'm not going to go that route. So when I went through this process of uncovering what really fulfills me, I found a few things, and we all have the very similar things. So for me, it is personal development, it is creativity, and it is freedom. I love to have freedom on my time. And the other one is teaching. And so how you can use that is, what if somebody were to call me up and say, hey, Jody, I've got a job opportunity, and you'd probably make a ton more money than what you're making now. And I might, perk up, like, right? Oh, yeah, tell me a little bit more about it. What would I be doing? Well, you would be working in a new lab. You would be doing x-rays. So let me run that by my little checklist. Would I be teaching? No. Would there be any creativity? You would hope not. Would I have freedom of my time? No. Would I love my job? Absolutely not. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be fulfilled. So you can kind of use those as your guideposts. Now, as Gabby said, sometimes we do need to make the decisions. We need to make money. We need to support families. And so if you're not able to do that full time, well, then bring it in other ways, like Gabby is doing right now. She is helping and she's fulfilling her values and her purpose. She might be working at a job full time and then find other ways to incorporate some of those things that you love so that you are fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know, that's such a good point. I was doing that until I left my job 2.5 years ago. You know, and it's something to think about, right? If you are not feeling fulfilled, if you feel like you are not fulfilling your purpose, vocationally, that there are lots of ways to do it. One, I would say, don't give up on that dream real easily. There are maybe the way to earn a living at that thing hasn't been created yet. Maybe the way to do that is around the corner. I think we've talked about this in other venues. You know, a decade ago, 2 decades ago, no one was making money renting out their houses to strangers, right? Airbnb wasn't invented yet, or driving cars for strangers. If you wanted to get a ride, you got in a cab, or you caught public transportation, or you asked a friend, right, for a ride to the airport. So things are in ways to earn money. Are being created all the time. And so it may be a matter of you stopping for a second. And if it's what you really want to do, asking, how can I do this? How can I earn a living from this? There are the piano example, you know, there are people who make plenty of money playing the piano, right? There are professional musicians. There are people who make money doing just about anything you can think of. And so if it hasn't been created yet, if you are not aware of it, a little research, a little time, and then just asking the question and then sitting and listening for an answer. And
Yeah.
it may be that it won't come all at once. It may be that it won't happen right now. But if it's something that you really want and you're passionate about, I say don't give up on that. So Cheryl, you talked about being, you know, when you were younger, wanting to be a lawyer. When I was a kid, there was a moment in time where being a lawyer came in and out of my head, as did a doctor, as did a model and a movie star and a bunch of other things that I am not, right? And as it relates to a lawyer, that was something that was in my head. I don't know why I wanted to be one. I wasn't thinking helping people. It probably had to do with money. I probably thought, oh, lawyers make lots of money. I want to be a lawyer. Doctors make lots of money. I knew doctors helped people, but I wasn't real clear about the lawyer thing. But there came a point in time where that, whatever planted that seed in me about being a lawyer, I was sitting in my office one day and someone came in and started talking to me about wanting to go to law school. And I said, oh, you know, I wanted to be a lawyer once, but I didn't have a college degree. And he said, well, in California, you don't need a college degree to become a lawyer. I was like, oh, interesting. So I did some research, found out about it, found a school, went to law school, graduated near the top of my class without a college degree. I went back and got a college degree later. But, you know, there's always a way to do what you want to do and make money, earn a living at what you want to do, if you are willing to like put in the work for that.
You know, it's
So true.
interesting you say that because when you think about it, right, when we were younger and we had these big dreams, right, and lawyer was one of the things on my list. I also wanted to be a ballerina and a couple of other things. But
Did your ballerina dreams end up where my model dreams ended up?
putting my daughter into ballet classes, that's where it ended up. So I lived vicariously through her. But here's a piece that I find very interesting is that it doesn't happen until we've come to the terms with not allowing our parents to interject, right? Well, you can't be that musician because musicians don't make money, or you can't be that artist because you're still going to be sleeping on my couch because artists don't make money. And so people have these ideas about what we should do with our lives.
Yes.
Based on, either what they've done with their life or what they deem to be good for you.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes you find yourself in these predicaments where you have fulfilled someone else's dream and you're still wondering, what is my purpose? And yet you're operating in someone else's dream. And so, as you're thinking about that, you have to literally sit down. I'm a visual person and I'm a compartmentalizer. So it has to be compartmentalized for me to go, okay, wait a second now. That goes over there, that goes over there, right? And you have that smart board and you can move things around and go, that's where that goes. Well, it's the same thing, right? When you're finding your purpose and you're going, okay, this over here is chatter, right? This is other people's chatter that I'm allowing to decide what I want to do with my life. And then what happens? Well, we know the stories, right? People end up stressed out. People end up with heart attacks. People end up, just hating their jobs, or they end up taking it out on their families, which is where we get into domestic abuse and violence and self-abuse and all of these other mental things that happen. And when you think about it, where does it stem? A lot of times it stems because you're
not happy.
I think we lost Cheryl.
She froze, yeah.
I was going to make a point. She said, when you're living someone else's dream or someone else's purpose, or if you're not clear.
If I was this millionaire driving around in a Lamborghini, oh my gosh, what kind of friends would I have then? So now I want to get a Lamborghini, and then you get it and you realize, well, no, I still don't have no friends that are true friends. They just want to ride in my Lamborghini. So, again, it's just, rationalizing it out and giving yourself the ability to say, no, that's not my dream. That's your dream.
Yeah. And when you are not living your dream and when you're living someone else's dream or what, they put on you, they think that you should be living, then some of the goals that you might be out achieving goals, but they might in the long run not be meaningful for you, even though you're achieving goals. And so when you uncover your purpose, that's your why in life. That's why you do the things that you do. And setting goals is the what. So that's why you want to be clear why you're here before you set goals. So
right, because you can fulfill those in lots of different ways, right? Because you've been doing that as a trainer in different iterations all along. Mm-hmm. Right. And Cheryl, the same thing. And so it's important to recognize that you can fulfill that purpose of helping people, inspiring them, helping them grow, to learn, all of those things in different ways. You could do it in classrooms. You can do it, at the university level. You could do it with children. And that's where the piece that comes in about who you are as a person. Right? Because while a professor at a university is teaching as is a kindergarten teacher, those are two very different ways of teaching and audiences to teach. And it's about the personality and the makeup of the person that sends them in those different directions. And
Whitney, you could do it in a coffee shop, right?
You could do it in a coffee shop. You could do it on a Facebook Live sitting in your home. right? On the beach,
Yeah.
or in the mountains or wherever. And so I think that's what becomes important to help you have the joy in what you're doing so that you don't have those situations where you are unhappy and taking it out on your family, or worse, going postal in a workplace or something like that, because you're frustrated with the way things aren't going.
Mhm.
Take the time to figure it out.
Yeah.
The other part of this is not difficult. This is, I don't, tell me, you guys, did you have difficulty, even if it took some time, did you have difficulty figuring out what your purpose was or is?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that difficult. It's just like sitting down, figuring out what makes your heart sing. And to sum up what you were talking about, the Lamborghini and all, trust me, there are a lot of people out there who drive the top cars, who have like multi-million-dollar homes, but are they happy? I know quite a few people in the workplace, like CEOs, vice presidents, and managing directors. You could see in their eyes that something is missing. It's all about the money for some people. But if you're not loving what you do, it doesn't matter if you make like $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, but you're not happy, what kind of a life that would be.
Mhm.
That would be my advice to them. You have to be happy here, and then the money comes. But if you're like forced by somebody, by your parents, or like you want to be same as your cousins or your whatever, like, and you want to be a doctor, or you want to study this, get your MBA on this, and then make like start with a 6-figure income, but you hate it every day, but still you're driving the best car, you have the nicest house, but you're not happy. I could see it in their eyes, I could see it in their face. So
Mhm.
that wouldn't be life for me.
Yeah.
You have to be persistent in what you want. Work on it, get help. Don't hire family, hire a real coach, people.
The entire
Trust me.
family.
Yeah.
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 Unless we're your family, that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's different.
Right.
Yeah. This is like
Right.
different family. Yeah.
For some people who may be struggling out there,
Yeah.
one of the things that we teach is called the joy review. And that's just sitting down and making a list of 20 things. What are some of the times in my life when I felt the most joy? Or, well, what are some of the things that I do where I feel the most joy? And so then you take and you look for a theme there, and how then can you apply that to your life? And then, try that on for a while and see how that feels.
Yeah.
So that's one way that we teach.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think too, there's a second piece to this, right? It's finding your purpose and then staying on that path to
Yes.
fulfill your purpose.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that's when they say, right, you got to have those calluses, and you have to have the ability. I always say, don't wish for it more than you're willing to work for it, because if you are
Good one.
operating within your passion, it's not going to be easy, because if it's something that you have not done before, then number one, we're going outside of the comfort zone, right? You have to instill some habits that are sustainable so that you don't revert back to what's easy and the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
And so staying on that path is going to be equally as important as defining what your purpose is. And there was a quote in the book that I just wanted to say that they used during this particular chapter. And it says, "It is the soul's duty to be loyal to its own desires."
Yes.
And so when you're operating like that, right, you already have what you're taking, because your soul is going to want to do it. Your heart's going to want to do it. The only problem you're going to have is connecting the mind, right? Connecting the mind with the heart and the soul. And that mind is going to give you the ability to sustain the path. So the soul and the heart's going to give you the purpose, but the mind is going to be what allows you to sustain the path. And so, when you're thinking about it in that regard, you're going to need some assistance, right? Some accountability partner. You're going to need to tell people what it is, because if you keep it to yourself and you don't fulfill it, then nobody's going to know about it. And you're going to just let yourself off just as easy as you have other things that you've tried to accomplish and said, well, it seems a little tough. I'm going to go back to doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to share your purpose with people.
Mm-hmm.
People, not
Otherwise,
person,
it's not meaningful.
people.
Yeah.
Share it with people, not
Yeah.
person, people.
Cheryl, I was looking for a quote too. And there's one that I love. Some people might think it's selfish to be living your purpose.
Mm,
And I found a quote in here that I love. It says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that.
Yep.
Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So
I like
whatever lights you up, you are benefiting other people by doing that when you're clear about what you love. So I love that quote too.
And
Yeah.
it is one of those things where, in that quote, Jody, is you are uniquely positioned to do that thing, right, for somebody's that no one else can do, right? So all of us have written books, written books, contributed to books. And it is, if you don't like writing, you don't have to write, right? You can speak, you can teach. There are other ways to convey writing a book is just one way of conveying a message. And so if you look back and extrapolate some things, you can, which is one of the ways you can do this, right, is to extrapolate from what it is that brings you joy, and then figure out the things that you actually want to do that will allow you to do that. And so if you've got a message that you want to share and you don't like writing, but let's say you've got a desire to write a book, there are people who will do that for you,
Yeah.
right? Which allows them to
Whitney,
fulfill
I'm going to
their
remember
purpose.
that. I'm going to remember that the next time that you hear where you want contributors for your book. I'm going to say, Whitney, write it for me. Here's my message. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're
I will
good.
do that for you for a fee. I will do that.
No,
for you,
no, no, no,
right?
Jody, you don't even need to ask anybody. I'll teach you how to do it. Honest to God, I'll teach you how to write a book from your computer without holding a pen.
Okay, I like it.
And so you can find the pieces that are the pieces of you to share is the point. And it is not difficult. It just takes you getting into your heart. I think all of you have talked about this, right? Getting into your heart and getting in touch with what it is that you are. Again, it's about what you're here for. What are you doing? Bringing all your gifts and talents to bear, and then putting them out there and trusting that what you're here to do will serve, right? It will serve. So you don't have to go, and some people do that. They say, well, what is the problem that the world needs solved? Well, there are all kinds of things that people could do, but are you the one to solve that particular thing? If you don't do the other side of the equation, where you are looking at you and what lights you up, then you end up in a place where maybe you are fulfilling other people's dreams or living other people's dreams. And that's not what we're talking about here. So
Yeah. So that was amazing. I know, awesome. If you are stuck at a job and you hate it and you're like those people who are worried about the next morning from Sunday night, I think you need to get in touch with us, any of us here. We will help you. That's my last word,
Your last word?
my last sentence,
probably not.
my closing sentence.
Awesome. Boy, I hope this is helpful for some folks,
Oh yeah,
you know?
you bet. Yeah.
Because it's so important.
Yeah, and I think too, because it's that question, right? It's that question that everybody asks at some point in your life. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What should I be doing?
Yeah.
And to Whitney's point earlier, you kind of already know, because you've either operated in it and you know where your joy spot is, right?
Mhm.
You felt it. You know where you feel good when you're serving versus shining, right? Because there's a difference to serve versus to shine. And
Mhm.
so where's that spot that allows you to feel, like you are just connected, you are operating on all cylinders and everything within you feels right? It just feels right. And it's that gut thing, right? It's like sometimes we don't do things because we go, man, that didn't feel right, so I didn't do it. And then other times we go, I don't know why I did it, but it just felt right,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's purpose, right?
Yeah.
When it just feels right.
And I
And
would
then
say,
you have to do the work.
even if you feel exhausted at the end, but there's a joy in that, right? Because it's not that you won't ever, and I think all of you ladies can relate to this. And there are probably people in our audience that will too, that when you have given, you've given of yourself, and you've expended your energy, there's an exhilaration that goes along with it. You may be spent for a little while, you may be tired and drained, but when you stop, there's an exhilaration there that refuels you and makes you want to get back to that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's what we're talking about. And it's possible. You just have to figure out what that thing is. And having been, as you know, Jody's brought this up, Gabby actually has brought this up a couple of times. I was in a career that at some point it felt like was soul sucking. It was, draining my spirit. And I came home on more than one occasion saying, they're like sucking the life out of me. First of all, I was complaining and blaming, and I had to stop that and take responsibility for where I was. And that they were doing that was true, but I was allowing that was the other part of that. And when I stopped, when I took 100% control and decided to approach it from a different way, I started finding things and injecting into that job the things that I wanted to do that gave me joy, that made me want to get out of bed. I created processes. I created a internship program. I was managing the interns and overseeing that. That was something that I wanted to do, that I added to that on top of the stuff that I didn't like doing, right? But it made the other stuff less sucky.
Yeah. You know what? And
For a
speaking
better term, yes.
less sucky, that's a great one. So, you know what, that was really interesting point, how you incorporated things that made it less sucky. I was teaching a class, and right in front of me I had an employee and the boss. They came to the class together. And so when we were uncovering what really would fulfill the employee at work, the boss turned and looked at her and said, "I never knew that." And so when we were wrapping up, I said, "So what are your next steps?" And she says, "Monday morning, we're going to go and we're going to see how we can incorporate that." So a lot of bosses don't know. So
Yeah.
that is, you are in that position and you can get clear about how you might be more fulfilled at work. Maybe it's a leadership. Maybe it is, being whatever that is for you, or organizing, group functions, whatever that is for you, have a chat with the boss, because the boss may not even know that about you, and then you can incorporate those things to make it less sucky.
Exactly. As long as you know what your purpose is, you can do that. You can have a conversation. I think the
Yeah.
problem is when people are out of touch, they're out of sync with that. They're not in alignment, right? With that, then they don't know what to do. And so once you know what that is, once you are clear why you're here and what that is for you, then you can take going back to 100% responsibility, right? You can take some actions that allow you to bring that into the fold. And so whether it is leaving a job, improving the job that you have, starting a business, whatever it is, because everyone can't get out of the situation that they're in the moment. Sometimes you need a plan. Some people can have the personality, they'll walk away. I've been that person where I walked away from jobs in the middle of a shift. So I've done that, and I've stayed longer than I should. So I've done it both ways. And you have to figure out what it is that will work for you. But the way to get there is to take the time and sit, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that will be a reoccurring theme as we talk about the success principles is that you've got to be willing to sit and ask the questions and then listen and wait for answers that will come. So the how, right? You get clear on what it is, your why, and the how will unveil itself at the right time.
Yeah,
Yep.
it will. And then, like, it takes a great
I thought
leader.
you said your last word already.
I know, seriously, but they came back with the leadership thing. Like, not all leaders are great leaders. Like when Jody was talking about the boss, he said, I didn't know that about you. That means at least he was open to listen. A lot of this corporate company, big heads, they don't have time for their employees, and that's not leadership to me. Like seriously, like a great leader is a leader that listens, that really watches the employees and spends time, make time for them, talk to them, listen to them, see what their strength is and what their weakness, and put them in the right place. So yeah, it takes great leadership to do that. Yeah.
So
I'm done.
Gabby has said her final word twice. Cheryl and Jody, you have any final thoughts you want to share as we wrap up here today?
I know.
I would simply say, your purpose is that's your heartstring, right? Your purpose is your heartstring. It's that thing that makes you feel alive. And when you're operating, you hear all these words that have become so clichéic now, is to operate intentionally and, to do things in a manner that allows me to be my authentic self. And, we've heard so many of those words used. And, when you think about what am I truly saying, right? What is it that I am truly saying? Well, to be authentically you have to be on purpose, right?
Yeah.
To be intentional, you have to be on purpose. So, if you're utilizing those words just to throw them out there without knowing their true meaning, then you're giving yourself this false ideology of, are you operating intentionally and on purpose and being authentic? So, my what I've done for myself, which has allowed me to be able to do that, is I am a huge advocate of ensuring that I have things that remind me, right? Because sometimes we have to be reminded who we are, because people take us out of our character, rather it be for a moment, rather it be you in that church parking lot. You've been to church for an hour, you go in the parking lot, and you forgot what the pastor said, and now you flipped. So people have a way of being able to take us out of who we are, if only for a moment. Doesn't mean that you're a bad person, doesn't mean that you're out of character. Just that moment, you're emotional. And so having things that remind you, and that means refreshing them, right? It's like you can't have a sticker up that was up there for 3 years and you're still saying the same thing, right? You've got to take that sticker down, put up a new sticker, put it up in a different color, refresh so that your brain is refreshed and it's remembering these things. So that is my advice, is to continuously refresh your brain on what your purpose is. This is Cheryl, and I'm done. That was a Clubhouse ending.
Drop the mic. Yeah. So I was going to say that when you are really clear about what brings you joy and what makes you happy, the things that bring you joy, well, you are well on your way to uncovering your purpose. And your purpose is your why. It's the why behind everything you do. And when you can set goals from your why, then you're more likely to persevere when things get tough because you're doing it because it fulfills your why. So then you're more successful in achieving your goals. At least that works for me.
Excellent. Yeah.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
I love that. I love that. You know, I just want to remind everyone that, and I said this is sort of the summary of what you three produced at the beginning, is to pay attention to those recurring themes in your life. What are the things that have happened over your life where you feel yourself feeling fulfilled, that bring you joy, that use the talents and gifts that you have? What are those coincidences that keep, you think about something and an opportunity just shows up, right? And that keeps happening over and over for you. Or where success leaves clues that you can look at the success of other people or your own success and say, oh, aha, right? Those things, use those to inform how you go about figuring out your purpose, how you go about living your purpose, living on purpose, being intentional, authentic, and just in the moment of what you're doing. So we want to thank you for joining us again.
Yes.
This is the second. Is this 2 or 3? This is our second one, right? Second one.
Yeah, second
Yes.
one. Yeah.
The second time we were working on principle number 2, which is be clear why you're here. Our next event, these are 4th Monday events. Our next one is April 26th. It is going to be on principle number 7, if you were following along in the book, and it is unleashing the power of goal setting. So we're going to be talking goal setting, the practical tips, how to go about setting goals, why it's important to set goals, and how not just setting goals, but achieving them, right? Because no one wants to just set goals and not have them happen, but at least setting goals is a step from just thinking about things. So we thank you for being here with us, and we look
Yes.
forward to seeing you on April 26th.
Yep.
Yes.
Have an
Yay.
amazing
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you. Leave your comments down here. And if you have any questions, guys,
Absolutely.
take care. Thank you.
All right. Bye.